Welcome to the Keep the Faith podcast. I am your host, Tori. It is a beautiful Sunday. Hope you guys worship real good at church today. I know we had some praising going on at the tower, and I'm gonna let my sister friend tell us about what she had going on today. But of course, you guys know it is Women's History Month, and we are celebrating women. Now, last weekend I had an extremely busy weekend, so I didn't get a chance to podcast last week, but I am back today. And of course, I have my sister. She's a minister. She's a doctor. I don't even know what to call her, but she's my sister. But I'm gonna say doctor, minister, and I mean she's a nana, mother. I mean she just wears many hats. She's an author. Because matter of fact, I got the book right here. This one of them. This one of them right here. So listen, for those that don't know, but everybody should know, introduce yourself. But everybody should know who you are. But just in case there may be some crews on the internet that may not know who you are, introduce yourself, my sister.
Good evening, my sister Tori. I am Dr. Sonyetta Cooper, known to a group of little people as Nana. I am the mother of 3 adult children and the nana of 11 amazing grandchildren. I am a 2 times author, as well as being a transformation life coach and a consultant for small businesses and nonprofits. I work with a lot of companies that I do governmental contracting, and I'm a minister and a public speaker, motivational speaker, youth empowerment counselor. As long as it's a place that I can help change lives, then I'll probably have something to do with it.
And I forgot about the coach part. I'm telling you, there's so many hats that you wear. I forgot. I completely coach Sonyetta. How can I forget that? Help a sister out, Sonyetta. I mean, and even the Jazzy Boutique, Sonyetta. I mean, you wear so many hats. Oh my God. And let me see who coming in. Charlene says, good evening. Hey, Charlene.
Hey, Charlene.
And I actually told, I was telling Sonyetta, I didn't really have a topic because, like I said, I wanted to celebrate, spotlight some amazing women that are doing great things for Women's History Month. I wanted to do that to celebrate you guys. And Tanya says, now, that's a nana, 11 grands.
That's it, sis.
And shout out to Miss Tanya, the poet. Matter of fact, check out her podcast at noon weekdays. Oh my goodness, Tanya, I meant to write down. I don't want to mess up the title. It's matter of fact, put it in the chat because I don't want to misquote. It's chatting in the noon. Matter of fact, put it in the comments so I don't miss. I want to give you your a shout out as well. Matter of fact, I was telling Sonyetta, you got her spoiled. She's like, Tori, we gonna be on the camera. Like, yeah, girl, we gonna be on the camera.
Tanya, you see my face. And see, when Miss Tanya calls me, I don't have to do anything. But I told her it's a good thing that I had church today, so I was already partially put together. I just had to add some things back to me so that I could come on camera.
And matter of fact, where were you? What church did you visit today?
I was a guest speaker at Cumberland United Methodist Church this morning at their 10 a.m. service. And the service is on my page and it's on their page. It was truly an honor and a blessing to be there because, as you know, different denominations do things a lot differently. So to be able to be invited to their, Women's History Month Sunday, and it was just an honor. Someone that knows me goes to the church, and she gave my name as the guest preacher for today. And we had a great time. We had a wonderful time.
And speaking of, and then let me give Tanya a shout out. It's the Noontime, My Time podcast, 12 p.m. weekdays. Matter of fact, Sonyetta gonna be busy because she's gonna be on her podcast tomorrow. So make sure you be tuning in lunchtime. If you don't catch it while it's live, make sure you listen to the replay. I love this, what Tanya is doing, like just the audio, because really podcast really supposed to be just audio, but we got this technology. We want to be, we can see ourselves now. But listen, I love that concept, what she's doing. So make sure you check Sonyetta out tomorrow on the Noontime My Time podcast with Miss Tanya, the poet. Now, Sonyetta, I was telling you, I said, whatever God drops in your spirit, share it. Because I would tell you a walking sermon. Anytime I talk to Sonyetta, I'm gonna get a sermon. Matter of fact, I got a sermon before we went live. She's always got a sermon. And Kay Jeanette says, good evening. What's up, Kay Jeanette? And so this is what I want to talk about now. And I want Sonyetta to, whatever God puts in her spirit, I want her to touch on that as well. But here's one of the things, which is so crazy. What I wanted to ask Sonyetta to touch bases on. A lot of times we were taught growing up, and I know my household, I have been taught this way, and I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. What is the place for a woman in ministry? Because some of us were taught that a woman is not supposed to be in the pulpit. A woman is not supposed to. I've actually heard people say a woman is actually supposed to be silent in the church. So I want you to touch bases on that in regards to women being in the pulpit, women praying, because I was taught that you're not supposed to say anything as a woman. Like, we're supposed to just be quiet. All we're supposed to do is usher, if that. So what's your take on that? Please enlighten the people.
My goodness, I told you, Tori, that I really don't get into controversial topics when it comes down to these live, or whether it's audio or visual. But what I will touch on, and I'll ask this question: if women were silent in the church, would there be a voice right now? In a lot of churches, it's all women and no men, or it's more women than men. And oftentimes people will reflect on certain things in the scriptures, but they don't look at what's surrounding the scriptures. When you are searching the scriptures, when you are a scholar of the scriptures, you have to look at what was happening before. You have to look at what was going on during, and also what happened afterwards. You also have to know who are the key players in these scriptures that are being spoken. And then there's the Old Testament and there is the New Testament. And we understand that when Jesus came on the scene in the New Testament, there were laws that when he hung on the cross and he died, that there were that he justified some things that was talked about in the old scripture, in the Old Testament. Just imagine, in the Old Testament, there were people that were dropping dead just from lying. You remember Ananias and Sapphira? Mm-hmm. When, the husband came in and he lied. He didn't have to lie. He just lied. And then after he died, he lied and he died because he lied to the prophet. And then they just drug his body out. And then his wife came in and then they asked her the same question. And they had already got together and put their story together, and she lied too. And what happened? She died as well. All those things happened in the Old Testament. But when Jesus came and he died on the cross, he died for the remission of our sins, for the lies, even all the way back to Adam and Eve when they ate that apple. There were things that Jesus came and he died for, so that we can have a right to the tree of life, so that we can get another chance and another opportunity. And when you think about when Jesus came, this is where it comes into play about what I preached about today. It was two women that were the first ones that saw Jesus when he rose from the dead. And they were given specific instructions. When the men that were following him were held up in a room, scared, because see, Jesus had already been crucified. All of the people who said they were going to stick by his side, they were all gone. A week before, everybody was yelling, Hosanna, Hosanna. Everybody was loving upon him. But when he was on trial, then the people started yelling, crucify him. So the same way that they did Jesus, they can do you the same way when you're popular one minute and then you become unpopular. But see, Jesus died, but in 3 days he rose again. And who were the first ones to see him? It was women. And what did he tell them to do? Go tell my brothers that I'm alive and meet me in Galilee. and they were told to go quickly and spread the good news. And so my take on women being silent, if women were silent, there are so many things that would never have happened. If women are silent, if women don't do anything else in the church except what Miss Tanya said, serve the food in the back of the church, there are a lot of age-old traditions. There are a lot of families that will not be together. There'll be a lot of men that are still broken because a lot of men depend on the women that are in their congregations. Now, I'm not here to have an argument or to debate the scriptures or the words of God, but what I know is that God called me, and when he called me, he qualified me. I didn't call myself. If it were up to me, I would not be preaching. There are people who know me from way back when, and I just want my life to be, when they see me, now if God can save her, I know he can save me. That's how I want my life to be. And so we don't need to, and we were taught certain things, so many different ways that we were taught that were wrong. One thing that is for sure, women are not supposed to be the head of men. And when I mentioned that today, I didn't get a lot of amens because that's not God's divine order. God created man first. And God created man so that he could take dominion of the earth, and he named everything on the earth. But God also knew that man couldn't do this alone. So what did he do? He perfected the mold. And when he perfected the mold, Adam had named a horse a horse. He named a chicken. He named a cow. And when he went to sleep and woke up, he looked and he was like, whoa, man. And that's when woman came on the scene. And there have been a lot of things that have happened along the way where women have been a part of biblical history, that there have been preachers and there have been speakers and there have been prophets and there have been deacons all through the scriptures that were women. Had it not been for women, men wouldn't be here. We birthed them.
Say so. Because I get, because I hear that a lot, and I still hear that now. Now when people say that, I just look like, okay, all right. You missing some good word, because there are a lot of women bringing some good words, and there's some men. Well, you know what? Let me hush. Like I said, we didn't want to get into a debate. We didn't want to get into a debate, but I already know. I just want to touch base on that. We didn't go too far on that, but listen. So I know God has given you a word, and I know you poured out a lot already. So I'm not going to keep you long, but I know God has given you something for the people. What is a word? I know I know you poured out today, but I know you still got a little word in your belly, just a little bit. Because you're one of those people that women, how some people are able to bring women together, because there's like a lot of times people think women, we always catfight, but you're one of those people that bring women together, and we have a good time in the Lord. And you actually bring unity, not only the women, but also the young women that are coming up. They gravitate to you, and not only just the women, but my son thinks very highly of you as well. That Auntie Sonyetta.
Someone asked me recently, what is my why? My main why, Tori, is I try to be what I needed. Mm-hmm. I try to be what I needed. So as a young woman, whether it was a teenager, my mom worked a lot. And so it was her children at home. We were raising each other, right? And so my mom didn't come from the era of hugs and I love yous. So, I didn't get that at home. And it wasn't that my mama didn't love me. It's just that she didn't show that affection. So when I had my children, I didn't have that to give to them. So as they brought their friends home, and they have friends who like had it really bad at home, and they wanted to always be at Miss Sonyetta's house. We just want to go to Miss Sonyetta's house. We just want to spend the night. So I didn't let my kids spend the night at people's houses. You got friends, they got to come over here and spend the night. So I had mostly all the sleepovers and the big parties in my yard, because I wanted to provide a safe place for children to be able to come and just be kids. And I didn't realize then I was sowing seeds that were going to grow today. So some of those young ladies that were my kids' friends, when I was going to church a lot, so there wasn't a lot to do for youth. So I would get people to donate clothes and do their hair and take them to the Baptist church banquets, and they would give me free tickets for my nonprofit for girls back then. And I would just take the girls to teach them about etiquette, to teach them how to use forks, to teach them how to sit up, to teach them how to act in a dress and how to act when they were out in public. And now all of these young ladies are in their 30s. And I come in contact with them from time to time. And you never know just the time that you take with another person, how that can change the trajectory of their life. You don't know what path they're going to go on. But even down to one of my young ladies that I mentored back then, she's in prison right now for murder. But we're pen pals, because she's in prison talking about Miss Sonyetta that was there for me and used to take me and my sister and our friends to these different places. And she's now taking classes and she's gotten certifications and she's going to school to get her GED. And she's, still got some time, but she's already making a plan. And she talks about those times that she spent in that youth organization. And so, like what I do now, people see me now. And some people might be like, well, where did she come from? And then there are those who were with me way back when, even when I worked at Hope for the PD, which was the HIV clinic, when nobody else wanted to talk about HIV and AIDS. I was out here screaming it. Get tested. You need some condoms. You need to make sure if you got something, you need to get the help that you need. I've been in these fields for a very long time. So sometimes people think a pulpit or preaching is where, you do the most work. But no, the most work is done in the community. The most work is done when you can really get down with the person who's gone through some things and you can give them a template, a roadmap, and give them a way out of their situation. Just an encouraging word. But how can we encourage people when we're so discouraged? And so what we've got to do is understand that the more I stay in a place of stuck, I'm holding other people up. How many lives have we missed out on being a difference in because we were caught up in mess? And that's the trick of the enemy, to keep our minds so discombobulated that we're not truly walking in our divine purpose. And your divine purpose is who God called you to be before you were formed in your mother's womb. And guess what? No one gets to tell you what your call on your life is. You don't get to tell me what God called me to do. You don't have that authority. So the less we concentrate on what people think about us, and the more we put our stock into what God has already told us, the better off we're going to be. There will never be another day that I'm going to second guess who I am because of what somebody says.
And you know what? I'm glad you brought up about Hope Health, because I tell people all the time. I said, man, I've been knowing Sonyetta 20 plus years. I said, I remember when Sonyetta first started her locks looked teeny. And I said, now they passed her butt. I said, I remember when she started growing her locks. And let me tell you something. When you were doing, back when you were doing Hope Health, and you was like a true advocate for HIV and AIDS. And you know what really checked me? I don't know if I told you this. I don't even know if I ever told you this. But when you were sharing your story, how you took someone in, you remember you told a story about you taking someone in. And I'm not gonna lie, back then when we were talking about HIV and AIDS, I was one of those people that I was like, you know what I'm saying? If I knew or heard somebody, I'm like, let me sit over here. And then when you said you took some, that really checked me. That checked me back then. I'm like, am I really who I say I am? If I'm looking down on somebody that has an illness, am I really who I say I am? Let me tell you, when you share that story, I said, you know what? Let me re-examine me. Because I'm not who I say I am. I was like, when you said that, you just don't know. Like I said, I don't know if I ever told you that, but that was very, very, very powerful to me.
You see my son? Yeah. He's always walking through when I'm trying to work. Yes.
That was very powerful for me.
And you know what, Tori? Back then, I did not have any restrictions on what helping people meant.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have any better sense because my motto always was that could have been me.
Mm-hmm.
When I started working at that HIV clinic, first of all, I share my testimony at the church today, in which I love sharing my testimony because see, people see you and they see the finished product. They don't understand what it took for you to get to where you are. Mm. So the when I preached today, it was Women in the Pulpit Sunday at that church. And so when they gave me the title Women in the Pulpit, I gave the subtitle Women in the Pulpit, Know Your Role. So when you know your role and who God has called you to be, and people heard know your role and they thought that we was going to come with the, oh, women don't need to be preaching. They need to know their role. No, my message was for everybody. Because if you're truly walking in the calling that is on your life, regardless of what it is, because everybody is not called to be a preacher. Although churches are popping up like popcorn right now, everybody is not called to be a preacher on a pulpit. But whatever your role is, play it and play it well. You never have an idea of when you can be entertaining an angel. And just because that angel might have been in an HIV clinic coming in to get treatment, that angel could be a crackhead at the local gas station. That angel could be that person at the red light that you trying to decide if I'm going to give them this $5 or if I go and get me a 4 for 4. You never know who an angel could be. So you have to be careful how you treat people. And when I got that job at that clinic, I had come from being a single mama on the welfare system and had taken a class called Welfare to Work. And I was the first recipient in Florence to get a Welfare to Work certification. I used to come to DSS with my best church suit on and a briefcase that was empty. I'm talking about the big square ones that look like, the FBI used to carry them around. They were the real big square ones, right? With the little things you have to have the code to get in. I probably got it from the Salvation Army. But I knew that I wanted to be a businesswoman, so I started dressing like one, even when I was going to get my food stamps and my welfare check. And my case manager used to say, you don't look like you should be coming here for services. You look like you should be working here. And I told him it's because I'm dressing for the part that I want, not for the position that I'm in. So I was already a person that had been down in life. How dare I look down on people when I get to another place in life? And that's what people miss it. You forget where you came from. So although my story wasn't that I was HIV positive, but I promise you, when I first got that job at that clinic, the first thing I did was get that piece of paper that had people's name on it. Let me see if any ex's name on him. Because I wasn't a virgin. Let me see if anybody's name on because I had to check myself. Now that's dealing with reality. And so then I had to take my first test because I already had 3 children. So that meant that I'd done whatever it took to get the 3 children. So I had to take my first test. So I couldn't be working at that clinic and advocate for the people that were coming in there and advocate as a person in the community if I wasn't walking the talk. And whether we're in church or we're in the community, a lot of people are doing a lot of talking, but they ain't doing the same walking. Bringing that young lady in my house. That was a person that was not only HIV positive, she was full-blown AIDS. But she didn't look like it. She was beautiful. But she was living in another county. And the man that she was living with was prostituting her. And she would come to the clinic every week. And she would say, Miss Cooper, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to go back to that situation. And back then, shelters in this area would not take people in when they knew that we were calling. there was a lot of stigma and discrimination going on back then. So that last Friday, I told her, I said, just bring your clothes, whatever you could take without him knowing that you leaving that place. And when that Friday came and the clock kept ticking and I couldn't get her a bed at a shelter or any other place, she said, Miss Cooper, what I'm going to do? Am I going to get on the PDRTA bus and go back? I said, no, you're going home with me. And I took her home with me. And she lived with me for about 6 months. And we're still friends to this day because she's still alive. And she's well. And nobody in my house got HIV because we weren't sharing any needles. We weren't cutting ourselves, sharing blood. She wasn't sleeping with nobody in my house. And that was what the big misconception was, that just being around people or touching a doorknob or sitting in a chair or eating behind them, you was going to catch something. But that it happens every day. We already look at people and think we know their story, and we have no idea, no clue how God can use you to change the lives of many. Even if it's just one, can he use you?
Now, also, I want you to tell people, you said so much before we went on air. Talk about, you said something about, girl, you said so much about, you said something about the mask.
Yeah. Many times we show up because we dress the part. We know how to look good. We know how to put on our makeup. We know how to put on all these layers so people can't see what's really going on the inside. But until you truly deal with that thing that pains you, I don't care how much you put on. You might think it's not showing up on the outside, but those of us who know God for real, we see straight through it. And I don't see straight through your pain to hold it against you. I believe in, and you know my clubhouse room is help a sister out. Because there were people that came along my path when I was being groomed by God, when I was on the potter's wheel, when he was molding me and shaping me out of what I had made up in my mind that I was, those relationships that were keeping me stuck, those people that were sent to literally take my life. Listen, I felt Miss Sophia when she said, all my life I had to fight. I just don't look like what I've been through. Because see, sometimes crazy don't know crazy till they meet crazy.
Right.
So we have to realize that although we might have come out of certain things, if we really don't get the help that we need, we suffer from these things that's called blame, shame, guilt, and regret. And these things will hold us captive for years and years and years. And we try to figure out why relationships won't work, why friendships, why certain, people won't stick around. Well, you and that so-and-so still tight? No, girl, me and her fell out. Well, then you fall out with your other friend about a year ago, girl. Yeah, them, they just can't deal with me. Well, you might be the common denominator, sis. Let's talk about why nobody don't want to be around you. And that's a hard conversation. But I'm that friend that's going to have that conversation with you. So if you don't want truth in your life, don't connect with me. Because I need those same kind of people in my life. Listen, if you see me doing something out of order, check me, sis. Because I'm always a work in progress. And I'm also a lifetime student. Dr. Miles Monroe said, the biggest disappointment is not dying, it's living without knowing your purpose. Some people think that dying is the ultimate end, but what about you live your whole life and you don't ever know your purpose and you just die without purpose? I don't want that to be me, and I don't want that to be anyone that's connected to me.
Lord have mercy. That's good to me. And I was just, while you were talking, I was thinking about some relationships, whether it's friends, romantic relationships, that I was like, it's like I was being held captive, held hostage. But when I let certain relationships, friendships go, it seemed like I started to soar. It's like I had shackles on my feet. And once I released I feel free.
You better sing, Mary, Mary.
Them shackles had to come off. Oh my goodness, it's good to me. Now, what else would you like
Yes.
to share? Because there's a lot of people, a lot of women, like I said, that you minister to. And like I said, not only do you minister to us as women, but you minister to the men as well. What else do you have to share? Because like I said, I don't want to hold you too long because I know you had a full day. You poured out today. So I don't want to take the last little bit of, because you got to refuel and replenish. So I don't want to take, so I'm going to hold you about another 10 minutes or so, and then I'm gonna let you get some rest because I know how it is when you guys pour out as ministers. You gotta have your necessary rest. So I don't want to take too much, but this is good. This has been good to me though.
Listen. Well, I tell you, well, you saw my brown boy walk through here, and
Yeah.
he's a tall brown boy. That's my son. He's just turned 34 years old. And when I tell you that I prayed many nights for that young man, when I tell you that he didn't start tapping into what the world had to offer until he was about 15 or 16. And I released him to go and spend weekends with family members and friends, right? And so we try to hold our kids and try to keep them away from the elements, but it's inevitable. And so he was being taught in the house because remember, I used to work at the HIV clinic. So I was the community outreach person. I worked in HIV AIDS. I worked in syphilis elimination. I worked in TB elimination. I worked in other STDs. I was the person that was going out in the community. I was going to schools, churches, community centers, whoever would let me come in and teach about it. And I would take pictures, like big pictures that show what it looked like to have syphilis in your eye. Mm-hmm. Or somebody that had, HPV, or someone that had these diseases and what it looked like. Because I used to watch Scared Straight, when I was growing up, and so I wanted to give it the shock treatment. If this is what you do, this is what you get. I even used to tell my daughters, boys give you bumps. And that lasted till they got to around the 6th or 7th grade, and they realized that they weren't getting no bumps. And then they started getting mumps in their stomach, and then they started having babies. So although I was teaching HIV STDs, although I had boxes of condoms in my trunk, although I was going into the community and I was working with young women who were living in apartment complexes. And there was a class that I used to teach called Sister, and it stood for Sisters Informing Sisters on Topics of AIDS, SISTA. And it was a curriculum that I used to teach. And we would have to go in and teach the women how to use condoms because they would tell us that they had multiple partners, right? And if you tell me you have 5 partners, I got one man to pay my bills. I got one man to get my hair, my nails done. I got one man to take care of my car. I got my baby daddy. He come whenever he feel like it. And then I got the one, that's my money man. So I had to sit with a straight face, and I would say, well, I know you got 5 men, but can I get you to use condoms with at least 3 of them? That way we're cutting down your chances on contracting HIV and AIDS. And do you realize that it's still out there? There's still people who are still, we are now hearing about COVID and the different variants and all these other things, but there are still things that are out there that people aren't talking about, that people are still dealing with and suffering through, right? So if I could say anything, I would tell parents, have conversations with your children, but when it's time to release them, be ready to do that. Because this young man right here, he went through his period of going out in the street and then tapping into the gang life and then tapping into these so-called friends that had all these things to offer you. And it was probably about 4 years ago that he called me and said, Ma, I've been shot. And I said, shot? I hear sirens in the back. Shot where? In my arm and in my face. What's going on? They're about to take me to the hospital. Well, which hospital? McLeod. Because I'm a praying woman, and because I had already released him to God, I said, I'll be there. I was on the other line talking to one of my girlfriends, and I said, That was Trevor. Get ready to go to the hospital. He said it was shot. She started hollering. I said, I'll tell you where I'm going so that you and your husband can meet me up there, just so I won't be by myself. But don't come up there with that. Don't call anybody and don't say anything. I'll see you in a few minutes. And I hung up. I called my pastor and I said, Trevor called me. He said it's been shot. She said, where are you at? I'm coming. I said, no, because I know you already took your medicine. I'm fine. I'll call you and keep you posted. Call the prayer team and just tell them to pray. And I went in onto my cloud and prayed all the way there. And when I got there, the people were, when there's anyone that comes with a gunshot wound, the hospital ER shuts down. So anybody could be out there. I don't care if your eye hanging out, you ain't going in the back. Everything shuts down. And when I came in and I told them who I was, they took me in the back and they took me in a private room and they started coming out. All these people started coming in and talking to me. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Well, we're going to give you. And I was like, I'm fine. And they were looking at me. I said, I'm good. He's going to be okay. And they were like, well, he's got three bullets in him. Okay. He's going to be okay. They kept coming back and forth to check on me. And they even mentioned they thought I was in shock. I'm not in shock. I've already prayed and he's going to be okay. When the EMT came back and said to me, I want to let you know that your son has 3 bullets in him. And where these bullets are located, they should have been deadly, but they're all superficial. He was sitting in his car and somebody shot down in the car. So it went in through the left side. 1 bullet went through his arm and stopped right above his heart. The other one went and stopped right by his spine, stopped. And you could see the bullet sticking through his skin. So it's like it was just sitting there, just a little lump. And the other one went through right up under his nose, through his mouth, didn't even hit his teeth, and grazed his tongue and was sitting here in the side of his neck, just sitting there. And they let me, after they sedated him, they let me go back there and see him. And I have pictures in my phone of him laying back there on that bed. And when they took him up to ICU after they worked on him, and they had to put him up under an alias because they didn't know who did it. I've got stories of resilience that some people think that they got problems, right? But when you realize that people are really going through stuff, after running homeless shelters and having girls in my shelter that were sex trafficked, or who aged out of foster care and got kicked out with their kids, or who were being prostituted while they were at the shelter. See, people say God give his, hardest battles to his toughest soldiers. I don't know if that's true or not, but what I do know is God knows who he can trust. And there are people that God is sending by our way, but we're missing the moments to truly be who God needs us to be because we're so stuck on our stuff. And I've had people in my life who say, girl, I just don't see why you ain't lost your mind yet. And this was years ago, too, before some of this stuff that, has happened in the past 10 years. I've just always had a get up and go in me to get up and go. I don't have time to stop. And it's not that I'm just so busy that I don't know what's going on. It's no, I know who holds my future in his hands. The joy of the Lord is my strength. I can't talk it and not walk it. Faith without works is dead. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. We repeat these things, but are we truly walking in these things of God? How do you know how faithful you can be if you ain't never had to exercise your faith? Faith is a muscle. So I can say that I want to be in, bodybuilding competitions, but I can look at my arm and tell that I probably won't win. But if I really wanted to be in those competitions, I would have to start training and I would have to condition myself and I would have to make sacrifices and I would have to change my mindset and I would have to have a goal and I would have to work on that goal and not let anything make me deviate from the plan. And that's the same thing when it means to live according to God's plan. You got to practice this thing. It doesn't happen overnight. Where my peace came from, yours might not come from that. Because when you pray for something, you don't ever know how God is going to send it to you. But when I asked God for peace, all hell broke loose because I had to learn how to have peace in the midst of a storm. When I prayed and I asked God for strength, I didn't know how strong I needed to be until I had to be strong. So people say, be careful what you pray for, because you don't know how God is going to send you the answer. You don't ever know. And see, like I said, people will see the finished product, but they don't have any idea what it took for this oil. Because see, oil comes from pressing. When an olive goes through the pressing in order for oil to come out, there is nothing comfortable about the pressing. That's when you know when it is the anointing that comes from Christ. It's not about what you can do. It's what you can do through Christ who strengthens you. So I don't belong to myself. And so when people see me, if you got any misconception about I want to be famous, somebody lied. Girl, if I could go back and live in my mama's basement, if she had one, I would. Because I don't, if it was up to me, I wouldn't. But God spared my life. God brought me out of a lot of situations where the enemy sent people on assignment to kill me. People were sent on assignment to kill me. Certain things I can't release and certain things I can't at this moment. But there's going to be a time that God is going to let us use our testimony to help somebody else. I didn't go through all the stuff that I went through for me. The Bible says that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. But so many people are so ashamed to tell their story. I'm an open book. There ain't no shame in my game. There's nothing that the enemy can hold against me. Because I'm like Eminem. I'm going to tell my story before you do. I ain't going to give you a chance to embarrass me. I'm going to go ahead and tell you about my embarrassing moments. Not what you got. And if we continue to hold on to our stuff and cradle our pain, the enemy can come back at any given time and tap us on our shoulder. Hey, you remember when so-and-so happened to you? And we start feeling bad. Because we're a slave to our past and we're a slave to our pain. But now's the time to make pain pay you back. Pain owed me, and I'm coming for everything that it thought it took from me. I ain't even mad. Jesus had a Judas. So why are we mad at the people that talk about us and treated us bad? Come on now. Everybody has a purpose. Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called according to his purpose. All things mean all things. Not all things and not that thing. All things. So if you would take that thing that hurts you the most and you take that thing and you say, I'm no longer going to let this hold me in bondage. I'm actually going to talk about this thing and I'm going to do it in a way that I'm going to have to release it. There's nothing more freeing than telling what God gives you to share. And he'll give you the time and he'll give you the place and he'll give you the audience that needs to hear it because we survived to give somebody else the roadmap of how to make it over. There's some people that's going through some stuff and they just tell me what I need to do. Show me what I can't tell you how to do it, but I can tell you what worked for me. Now you can take some bits and pieces from mine. You go to God and you ask him, what can he do with this? And you learn that if I survived it, that means that you got a chance.
Mic drop. Mic drop. Woo! Girl. Oh, see. That's why I love my sister. Because she always gonna have a word. Because plenty of times you done got me in check. Tori, you still worrying about that? Tori, how long you gonna stay stuck? You still talking about that? And that happened when? Oh, okay. You already know you gotta have those people in your life that's gonna tell you the truth. And Sonyetta tells me the truth. Whether I want to hear it or not, she gonna tell Tori the truth. I might turn to the side a little bit, but I'm gonna be listening.
because I love you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because love is what love does. And if you got people around you that hanging around you and you going through stuff and they not telling you the truth, those people ain't for you for real. See, I fired my girlfriends and got me a bunch of gold friends. It's no more days to be sitting around kicking the willy bobos. I don't want to be chitter chattering and talking about nothing. What are we doing? Where are we going? What is the plan? Oh, you don't have a plan? All right, then. May the Lord watch between me and thee while we're absent one for another. Amen. Not in this season. You will not call my phone and dump your mess on me. I cancel my subscription to all these folk issues. You should have called me when I cared, okay? The Sonyetta from way back when that was riding around picking up everybody on the bus, making sure everybody was eating. But listen, I still got the love in my heart, but you better come with a plan. Because see, now the anointing of Harriet Tubman has come upon me. You want to be free? Follow me. But what you ain't going to do is get me caught in these woods. So if you follow me, you better want to be free for real. Or your family going to come and pick your body up and carry you back to the plantation because you ain't taking me backwards. Somebody got to lead the way. Somebody got to lead the way. You don't want to be free. Don't follow me. Pew.
Free the people, sis. Free the people. Let me go through some of the comments that I missed. K says, my God. Kate says, oh my God, God is good. You are a prayer warrior. Thank you for sharing your story. She says, amen. Kate says, yes. Veronica says, yes. Veronica said, this is good. Veronica said, that's what true friends are all about. Michelle said, hello, say so now. Hey, Shell. And let me see. Oh, Lord, these comments are coming so fast. Kate said, come on, sis. Kate says, woo, Jesus. Veronica says, you better say it. And Kate says, you don't want to be free. Don't follow me. T-shirt me, please.
Don't even worry about it. I got a cricket machine back there in the back. I got you, sis. I promise you I got about 12 streams of income. Ain't no more broke days in my life. You see what my shirt say? Black, brilliant billionaire in the making.
Oh, listen, I'll be like, Kate, T-shirt me, please. Yes, sir. She said yes. Oh my goodness, Sonya, that was good to me. To my list, Tim Kate to listen.
I see Miss Lyde said that her mom worked with me at Hope Health and that she was on the board at Hope for the PD. So please, thank you so much for mentioning that. Those days back then were we didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah.
We were a group of perfectly imperfect people trying to make a difference in Florence County. We had no idea what we were doing. When I got that job, I would say fresh off the banana boat because I had my contract had just ended with DSS working in Medicaid. And my caseworker was like, they looking for an office manager at this doctor's office. And I was like, I don't know how to type. Yeah, I was so rough around the edges. See, it wasn't ratchet back then. I can't remember what the word was, but I was that. And so the women at DSS who worked in Medicaid, it was all Black women. And I thought that the supervisor hated my guts. Y'all, she used to fuss at me all the time. Girl, your skirt too short. Girl, you're too loud. Girl, you got to wear red lipstick. I should be like, this old lady don't leave me alone. She always minding my business. Listen. And this woman is one of my biggest cheerleaders right now. Every time I post something on Facebook, she is one of the first ones to comment. And she always say, that's my baby. Because y'all, we don't have an idea that it's the ones that's hardest on us that care the most about us. And we don't even realize it. We think that the people, they don't like me. They treat me. They always trying to tell me what to do or be in my business. No, there are people who've already gone before us and paved the way. And they see more in us than we see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
They see more in us than we see.
Look at Voodoo Child.
There go my brother. What's up, Darren? Voodoo.
Lord have mercy.
That's my brother right there now.
It's crazy stuff.
That's my brother. I love me some Voodoo Child.
And Karen says her mother's name was Edith Line.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Oh, those was the good old days.
And Tanya says it's too easy to make money these days. Get it.
I'm trying to tell you, if COVID did not bring the hustle out of you and you didn't find you a side hustle, there ain't none in you.
And it's funny that you say that. I was just telling my son, I said, what's in you gonna come out? What's in you gonna come out?
I created about 5 jobs during this pandemic. Broke who? If you know that you've got solutions to other people's problems, you will never be broke another day in your life. People need solutions every single day. And we sit up here with solutions. And a lot of them come from what we've gone through, what we've experienced, how we make it easy for us. And people want to know, well, how you do that? How do you do that? How do you do that? There are some that I do mentor. And there are some that I will tell them to click the link in my bio. And it'll take you straight to my payment plan. Because long gone are the days for us to continue to just pour, as I stated, to all costs. So don't think that everything is about money, because money ain't everything, but having it is very important.
Absolutely.
So if you've got ways of making money, like starting a boutique in my house, who would have thought that I love shopping, but when the pandemic hit, I wasn't going nowhere. So my girlfriend called. She was like, you want to sell some clothes on my Facebook platform? Sure, why not? I just had and I don't even do it as much as I normally do it, but I'm just going to give you an idea of 1 hour of my time. I'm on a platform called Discount Diva Deals. And every now and then I'll sell on that platform because they've got about 30,000 members. So anytime you sell on that platform, people are already going to be on there to buy. And I've got so much inventory, so much clothes, because I help women who are still coming out of shelters. And I still help women coming out of abuse shelters. Or when people call me and say there are people in need, I make extra money to still be able to help people. So I got in front of my camera, my phone the other night. No, it was yesterday. It was Saturday. I got in front of my phone. See, the days coming together now. I got in front of my phone yesterday at 1:00 in the afternoon. And in 1 hour, I sold almost everything on my rack. The last time I checked, and I sent invoices out through PayPal. The last time I checked, it was close to $400. So I'm going to be running around in a rat race, or I could stand in front of my phone and make $400 an hour. When you say it like that, make it make sense.
Right.
So people are like, well, I don't like talking in front of people. I don't want to sell them. How much stuff do you have in your house that you don't use? And when I teach this class of how to start an in-home thrift boutique in 8 simple steps, and they say, well, what can I sell? Anything that's not nailed down.
Right.
What can't you sell?
Wow.
Don't sell the kids. Wow. But there are things, there's money sitting around you right now. Stuff that you'll never use. And one man's trash is another man's treasure. Look, that was free. A way to make some money. Go sell some of that stuff out your house that you keep complaining about that's cluttering the place. Stop giving Goodwill all your money.
Right.
If you don't want to get in front of a camera, sell it on Facebook Marketplace.
Right. Right.
People are out here buying stuff every single day.
Wow.
You never know.
That's awesome. That's awesome. This has been good to me. And make sure, like I said, this is one of her books. I don't know if you guys can see it. Can y'all see it? This is one of the books. And this is the back of it. Now, can this book be? It's on Amazon, right?
No, it's on my it's in one of my other accounts. I thought I had my other book sitting up here. That one is called the Single Mompreneur Club. It's an anthology with
Mhm.
single moms that talk about a story of resilience. And I actually told a portion of the story that I wrote about my son. And the other book is called The Coach's Seat. And that's also an anthology of a group of life coaches that
Do you
talk
have
about
that
our
book in front of you? Seems like
the
I have that book too, but I'm trying to see
yeah,
where that book is.
girl.
Put it in front of the camera so people can see. Cause
Hmm.
I'm about promotion now. You know I like to promote my
Yes.
folks.
I don't have it over here.
Okay.
Because I had I had an event and I had all my books in a box and I moved all of
Okay.
them that I had over here. Yep. But
Okay.
most definitely, if they want one, they can get in contact with me. When you stop thinking locally all the time, you will understand how many potential customers you really have out there. Come on, brother Voodoo, because
And and go
the
ahead.
majority of my customers are not around here. When I sell on my camera, I ship out from home. So I've got the scale, I've got the app to use to print out everything, whether I want to ship US Postal Service or UPS. And I pay for it and print it all out. And all I have to do is go drop it off at the post office. And so, listen, there is the majority of my customers, regardless if it's coaching, regardless if it's me selling products, if it's me selling my books, they're not locally. And then, there are people who are local who would say, oh, I'm going to support you. I'm going to support you. And they may or may not. But that doesn't bother me. That's just a bonus if somebody locally supports me. But my sister Tori, I don't care if I was selling pecans on the side of the road. Tori would probably be out there helping me by buying some.
You already know. You know how I do. You already know. But listen, we're approaching an hour, and like I said, you don't pour out enough today. So we're gonna wrap it up so you can enjoy the remainder of your Sunday. But I want you guys, if you haven't gotten the book, make sure you reach out. Either if you need coaching, like I said, she does so much. And matter of fact, you're what's the school, Sonyetta? You still at school, right? The
School of the
what's the
Great Commission Bible College and Seminary.
yes, yes. And where is that? Where is that school located?
Well, our Florence campus, we actually it was a virtual campus, and
Okay.
so the Florence campus, because we didn't have a lot of students, they moved it to Manning. So what we're
Okay.
using our office for now is a virtual hub for people who are trying to start businesses and they need business classes, business startup, how to set your business up from start to finish. We have lunch and learns. So trust and believe. If it's anybody out there that's trying to build a business, build business credit, or even get a nonprofit started, we're doing that. And I have an office here on Second Loop Road. And the other part about that, Tori, is I'm also moving my boutique to the building because my boutique has grown
Yeah.
and it is now going to be the Jazzy Boutique on the Loop. So you heard it here first.
Jazz Boutique on the Loop. Listen, I got to come. So when you get everything set up, call me so I can make sure I can do a broadcast live. You know how I like to do live on location. So please holler at me so I can come out and support you. Look at Voodoo Child. Hold up. Voodoo Child talking about how much is that picture behind your head, Tori? Ready, Voodoo? Come out the
Voodoo say he trying to buy some stuff. You talk about selling some stupid. Everything has a price, girl. You better give Voodoo a price.
Voodoo inbox me. We can negotiate.
I'm trying to tell you, I sell everything up out of here.
And then he went to Sonyetta speaks to the mid conference. Listen,
You know what? And he
great
said
idea.
something. He said something about that to me before.
So what we waiting on?
Nothing. I'm not procrastinating. Listen, I'm not getting ready to sit here making excuses. Let's get to planning it. You sitting here talking, so we touching and agreeing. So I guess you on the committee. And I just see my health coach, Kendria Robinson, just popped on. So we've got Kendria to help us with the men's conference. We've got Kay Jeanette. We've got Tori. We're about to have a men's conference here. We got Miss Tanya. We're about to go ahead and plan a men's conference because as I was talking about my brown boy, I've got a heart for the Black man. Let me tell you something. There's a special place in my heart for men, and they don't get the love that they deserve. Mm-hmm. And oftentimes it happens because of hurt from both sides. But if we really come together and really love upon each other for real, and I'm not talking about people trying to be in relationships, because that's why I'm single right now. A lot of men that try to talk to me, I have to correct them and say, I am not your woman. I am your sister. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't understand that. You think you are physically attracted to me, and 9 times out of 10 you are, but it is truly the gifts and the anointing that you're attracted to, because I'm different. But I know a counterfeit. So I'm not desperate to be in a relationship. Been down those roads enough to know that I would rather keep you as a brother than to hurt your feelings down the line. So if you accept that I'm your sister and let me help you through some processes, and I'm doing that now with some awesome men of God in my life that just needed a sister to talk to. And they have a woman, and I'm friends with their woman, because you're not going to have a woman and think you're going to be my friend and me and your woman ain't friends. And right. That's not how it works. So off the top, if anybody that I come in contact with and we are friends and I know that you have somebody in your life, it's mandatory, because as a mentor and a coach and a friend and a sister, sometimes it's just the lack of understanding. So when Steve Harvey wrote the book, Act Like a Woman and Think Like a Man, I think he was talking about me.
Let me catch up. Oh, no, let me catch up on the comments. Kendra says, here y'all go. Y'all can't mention nothing to Sonyetta because she's not going to hold back. A true go-getter. And you know this. Miss Tanya says, Voodoo be all in your house. He told me my plants look healthy on a live one. Kendra said, not the counterfeit. Preach. Miss Tanya said, I might DJ. Oh, you gonna DJ? Okay. Kay Jeanette says, right. Voodoo said, dang, sound like the conference already started. Kendra says, preach. Kendra says, y'all need to do a men's series. Ooh. Listen.
Yeah.
Like a plan.
I think so.
I'm gonna need Voodoo to come on the panel too.
Mm-hmm. Yes. You talk about outspoken. That's why he's my brother. Like I said, if you don't want the truth, I can't be your friend. And Voodoo the same way. That's why I love him, because he is the truth.
He is. And
yes.
Okay, Keep the Faith podcast. And Kay Jeanette is laughing. Man, this has been good, man. I got to go back through the comments. I got to write this up. We got some plans to make. We got a
That's right.
plan. Mm-hmm. A men's series to plan.
Yes.
And something else that popped into my head that I'm not gonna say it live. We're gonna talk after we get off the air. Something else popped into my head.
Okay.
Some ideas that are running through my girl. So we got to get the planning.
Yes.
And I need since Voodoo threw it out there, I need him to be on the committee too.
He is. He says, I'll be on it. He got plenty.
Listen.
Let me say it, Tori.
Listen, Voodoo. I got plenty of pain to share.
And we're going to help you through that pain. We make the pain pay us back. Listen, when we talk about our pain, we're going to talk about how we push past it and how we pursuing purpose and how pain has got to pay us back.
I'm ready. I'm going to start planning once we end this live.
I know.
I'm going to start planning. So Voodoo, I need you to inbox me because I'm serious. I can dig it. And then to do a series, that's going to be awesome. I already got my brain rolling right, but that's going to be good. So and I definitely in Voodoo podcast like a while back. Trying to see what had happened. I need you to reach out to me, Voodoo. But if you guys missed the beginning, make sure you go back and watch the replay. Make sure you share the podcast, and I'm actually going to upload the audio as well, so that the audio will be on Apple Podcasts. I think I'm on like 6 or 7 different platforms. But if you have an iPhone, it'll be also uploaded to Apple Podcasts, so you can listen to it as well. Because a lot of times people don't have time to sit down and watch it, but you can go to the gym. Put your what do you call the things? Put your earpods, whatever.
Yes, AirPods.
Get on the walker and listen to this podcast. So I'm gonna upload the audio as well. So, like I said, if you guys missed the beginning, make sure you go back and watch the replay, and make sure you definitely share this podcast. Sonyetta, you always show up and show out. I can always depend on you to show up and show out. I am so blessed to have you as one of my, not my girlfriends, but one of my goal friends. Like, I'm thinking about a couple of streams of income just sitting here on this podcast.
Listen, I promise you, it's in you, but you got to be around the right people. Iron sharpens iron. So what the problem is, stop dealing with these butter knife people trying to get them to sharpen your iron.
Right. Right. Well, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And my final thoughts, as I always say at the end of each podcast, I always say, no matter what we're going through in this thing called life, you may bend, but don't you dare break. And let's go out there and get this money. And when you get this money, make sure you pay your tithes. I'm big about paying tithes. Make sure you pay those tithes. A lot of people don't believe in paying tithes, but I'm a firm believer that tithes work. Not only do the tithes work, but Psalms 91 work as well. The Psalm of protection. So pay your tithes and do what if you constantly do the right thing, the Lord's gonna show up and bless you real good. Bless you real good. But you guys have a great evening. You guys have a peaceful evening. And me and Sonyetta are going to talk about some business plans off the air. But you guys be blessed and enjoy the remainder of your Sunday, and have a blessed and beautiful upcoming week. We'll see you later.